Alright, you guys, so I'm gonna go over today's reviews on the trades, either the wins and the loss. So basically I was just watching AMD and SPY, and the first thing I want to show you guys is that AMD was one of the trades that I took that went from green to red. Alright, so the reason why I was entering AMD was because if you check on the daily is holding a nice area of demand, which is a 109.18 area, 105, which exactly you see how it's ranging here. You could even have it as a green little area there to know where buyers are stepping up. But on the other hand, I was watching the candle movements, which I could see a doji here forming, which basically just shows me that if it holds this area where sellers were 110, which is 110, we could still hold and move up to 115.12, right? So my entry on AMD today, if you guys were on the Discord, I wanted to hold this area for a double bottom on the 4-hour time frame, which is still holding, right? And the double bottom, I see it because of here, drop and then keep going up back to either 112 or 115, which is the max area where we could hit. But besides that, our entry for AMD, which ended up stopping us out, was because of this big drop. So one of the things that I saw on AMD before I called it out was I called it, let me see, what time was it? It was when I saw this area, these green candles, right? Green, red, green. So I got in right at the bottom, right here. Once this candle closure, I called it to go back up to 115. So I had the 115 calls for this week, which is July 28, and ended up dropping back down. So my stop loss, I don't know what happened with these, but I guess since it had IV, the stop, it hit my stop because I ended up having a little more higher than what it was. It was at 0.80, and for some reason, I don't know how the hell I got stopped out. Just came back down, and I'm guessing this is the wick that got me out, which I should have left it a little bit more longer. But this is the area that we should have been holding. And so far, tomorrow we still have a re-entry because it's still holding this range, right? And I had mentioned that it was rejecting, AMD was rejecting, let me see, let me show you guys, rejecting the market open. And that's what I didn't like. So it stopped me out at the end, which is, this is the market open right here, right? It started rejecting it. What I wanted is for this to at least go up and hold that area in order for us to move our stop and then continue back up. Super basic, just have to wait. And if this is a red, I'm still gonna come back to it tomorrow, and I have to make sure this is still, it's still bullish and it's gonna do that double bottom that we want in the 4-hour. So for SPY, I ended up getting some calls right above. I was on the 5-minute time frame. I ended up getting chopped up on some calls. Let me see where I told you guys that I wanted to call it out. Watching SPY 0DT 453 put, right? So that was when I was watching this area right here, right there. So I saw that it was getting me a red bearish engulfing candle off the 5-minute. This is why I called off, and it also looked like a double top. The reason why I'm saying it's looking like a double top because you can see this area there, and then one more time here, and then the second time. So these two, it could be a triple or double, but I was noticing this, right? This little break of this neckline, which is right at 453.79, could have dropped it back down at least to 751, or come back to the open, which would be a nice drop. But at the end, it was just waking people off. You can see how on the 5, it kept holding that range, but at the end of the day, it did go up slowly higher. And if you can see that same area where it opened, that's what ended up dropping at the end of the day. And that's where we caught those SPX. I wanted to get a put, but I wasn't so sure because of this area. But the SPY entry that I called out in the morning, we were up a little bit by 10%, but I usually don't like getting out that fast because it's like I might as well just hold it, right? And get that double bottom, get that double top that we're looking for, and exit right at 753, which would have made a lot more money than our loss. And the same thing corresponding through here. I ended up catching a small play for puts right at right here but I sold it right at 453. But I wasn't online at that time. I was on my phone, but I was doing something else also. And the other thing that you guys could see is that this would have been a nice entry for a SPY, but since end of day I do SPX for 0 DTs, this was a nice little drop. And one thing where I caught the bounce for SPX was, if you go to the 15-minute time frame, this is the area of value that it ended up having a demand for buyers to come in, and then there were sellers here. The same thing as how it was earlier, right? So this is what I saw. This would have been a nice entry for puts to take it back down. Obviously it came back, it broke out of this level. The next continuation out of that should have been 544, but then I was watching the 1 minute, and on the 1 minute, when I was calling it out before I even entered, I was watching this green candle, right? I was looking at this, I was like, okay, you know what, we're gonna get a little double bottom here, double bottom, for it to drop, do this, and then come back up exactly to this area, right? So what ended up happening is exactly what I wanted. My entry, on the other hand, because I was typing it, I ended up sending it to the Discord at this candle. So I was saying that I was watching the area of 455C, which is calls for this day, 0 DTE. I was saying to watch it around this area. When I entered, once this candle closed, and I just entered it, the type. So when I enter calls, I usually have this entering, or watching. I said watching first, and after that I have entering the contract or SPX, which you guys should already been having it there on your watch list, and I'll just enter the name of the contract price. So at this point I was watching the contract, and I put 2.50, which was the entry. I ended up entering on the other account because I have 2 accounts, but not on the small account. So I got a bad fill. My fill was 3.90 because this little green candle that came up after, when I ended up getting filled, that was a little already up like around 30%. So we held it all the way to the top, and that was it. That was basically the plays for today. And for tomorrow, the only thing I'm watching for SPY and SPX or any other ticker that I'm going to talk about later is basically just if it holds the area. If you go to the bigger time frame, right, you go to the 4 hour, you start noticing that it's ranging around here, inside there. Now it's starting to range, right? But one thing you do gotta notice also is that sellers are still there present at 454, which is exactly where they came in last time right there. Look, I'm just gonna move a little bit up so you guys can see that it's dropping all the time. Tanks, and it tanks, but it's still stable. And the reason why I'm saying it's stable, because for the past 3 days it stops right here. 1, then it drops. 2, and then it drops. 3, then it drops, right? Same thing at the bottom. 1, 2, and then today 3. So you could play this whole range, which is either you wait for the break or you just play it up and down, but you would get some chop like this. So yeah, basically that's it. That's a trade review. And yeah, I'm gonna go over the watch list later. I'll have a video for you guys to know what tickers are gonna go up and down and how to choose a ticker. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later.